Hey, buddy.
Hey, I'm in that groovy mood today, bro. I got some of that James Brown heat today. I'm in that.
Does
I'm in
it
that.
ever really end, though?
I'm in that mood. Cheers, my brother. 9 a.m. We're up. We're chatting. How you doing? What's going down? I haven't seen you I think I saw you a month ago, maybe.
Yeah, dude.
On
Wait,
Zoom. On
Zoom.
Zoom.
Yeah. I was like, I haven't seen you in months.
It's all the same now. Like when I see people, it's on Zoom. How you holding up? How's phase 2 and 3 treating you as we come out of the chaos a little bit?
It's okay. I mean, like, work never really slowed down for me. I mean, people still need to do their taxes, so
Oh yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah. You got that grind.
yeah. And then I don't know. I'm interested in the process of moving right now, so I'm gonna, yeah, just
I'm excited, man. I'm
deal with that
excited.
at the same time, and like
Yeah,
on top of work.
yeah.
Uh, you
Well, we
know,
got a we got a lot to unpack today, man. I've been looking forward to our conversation, man. There's two guys that have the music DNA that you and I have, and the path we've taken, and trying to figure out where the hell do we fit in
yeah.
music, and not just like how do we help people, but how do we make money in this business. It's been
That's the ultimate question, isn't it?
it's been a great ride, man. But for those of you guys that are joining, I met Spence on Instagram. Okay, I've been following this man's memes. I'm an investor in an accounting company, and we're looking for other accountants and bookkeepers and people in the financial business to hang out with. And this dude just kept coming to my feed because he's got some dope memes. And I was like, who is this guy, and how is he making so much fun around one of the most boringest topic, taxes and finances? I was like, yo, I gotta know this guy. So I sent him a random note saying, what's up, man? I'd love to get to know you. And he responded back. And then, as they say, the rest is history. But what I didn't know when I first met him is how deep he was in the music business. I thought he was, like, get up, go to school, learn bookkeeping, accounting, start his own practice, runs this thing, and then we're getting together, and he's like, "Nah, I'm in the music business," and I started at a music company, and then I went and I figured out what to do, and then I came back, and now I work with musicians and artists and trying to help their life become a lot more stress free because nobody knows how to do these taxes and shit. We're already stressed. The normal suit and tie accountants mess you the fuck up. So this dude came in and made it super easy, and I was like, man, how do you get to the business side, started on the creative side, and then all of the things that happen in between? It's a fascinating, fascinating hustle for me. So I invited him for a 9 a.m. hangout. Man, but today was tough, bro. I've been on that grind, trying to build our music community, reaching
Yeah.
out to people online, and like before you know it, it's like 4 a.m. Like shit, I gotta go to sleep. I gotta get up in 5 hours because this is episode 12. We haven't stopped since we started this thing 2 weeks ago. But how are your nights? Are you getting some sleep? Are you on the grind?
Trying to, man. Like it's been trying without, because like I laid off all my staff at the beginning of the quarantine, and so yeah, it's just been me doing it. So it's just been
Yeah,
like stop tunnel vision, just like white knuckle driving down that highway in the middle of the night.
yeah,
But I mean, thankfully we all have coffee, so
yeah.
that's also
Yeah.
keeping me going right now.
Amen to that, man. So I wanna start where I start with all my guests who I find very fascinating, who take sort of the opposite of what people tell them to do. We talk a lot about like how early on in life did you decide to sort of think differently? Most of us, our parents sort of give us a handbook, right? Like, hey, this is what I want you to do. Go to school, study this, become that. And then at some point, some of us, like you and me, go, hey, I don't know if that's for me. And then here's the kind of stuff that I kind of want to do. How early did you start to become aware of that other voice in your head?
For me particularly, it was pretty early. Grew up going to like Catholic and Christian schools, and I don't know and like my family is very Catholic, so um, yeah. And I mean, my dad is like I was the first one born here in my family, so uh,
That's a big
and so
deal.
they're very, yeah, yeah. So like they're very like traditional, like old school. My mom's a little bit more progressive, but yeah. Anyways, but like high school and like then I got, I mean, I attribute a lot of it to punk rock. Like I got into that when I was in
You say punk
high
rock?
school. Yeah, punk rock.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
nice.
So I mean, I this is like, it's funny because I'm having this almost exact conversation yesterday with my buddy, and it's just like yeah, like started getting into punk, which is like, you know, it's like really about doing everything differently. That's the way I'm taking it. Like people perceive it different ways, of course. Um, so yeah, and then I just started. I never really liked. I never really got like why would I want to do this a certain way, you know? Just as a general, like not following like you know
Yeah.
traditional norms and whatnot.
Man.
Especially like, and I'm from a town of like 800 people. That's where I
Okay.
grew up. So
Yeah.
it's just like, basically, if you weren't like in it, you know, it was just like,
You stood
like
out real quick.
yeah. People just like notice you're different like real fast because it's like five people your age. So,
That's awesome, man. So talk to me of some of the early struggles. Like, you know, how did you rebel and then maintain a bit of sanity and emotional? Like, I grew up most of my life with the entire community I was with, literally saying, "Dude, you're dumb, you're stupid, you suck in school," and they were like literally grooming me for a blue collar life because I sucked in school. And I fully accepted it. Like I fully was like, yeah, you're right. Like I'm dumb. I get it. You know, sign me up. Until that model broke in my head. But like, how did you start to, you know, we call rebellion, but from the external world, but internally it's like you're defending, right? Like you're defending who you are and what you want to be.
mm.
How were you sort of managing that?
um, well, back to the first point there, like, just another thing that I kind of actually realized when I don't know why you said mentioned school, so my mind went back there. I went to an alternative school, and it was very clear for me, clear to me from like a young age that I don't learn the way most people learn.
Oh,
So
boom.
yeah, and it was like traditional school. I couldn't pay attention, you know. Uh, it didn't work for me having someone tell me a bunch of information, and like a lot of the times I was like, why is it this way? And
Yeah,
then like
yeah.
it doesn't matter, just memorize the information, right? And then as soon as I went to an alternative school, and they were just like, hey, here's a book, there's a computer, go teach yourself. And then that was when I realized that's who I need to be, and that kind of like translated to where we are now.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
so I mean, like not having that, I guess, is kind of answers your other question, where it's like it was kind of a hurdle I needed to get over, like kind of finding the right way to learn and like uh, you know, and then kind of realizing even when I do talk to people who have had the traditional schooling, maybe that worked for them,
Right, right, right.
you know. Uh, yeah, I don't know. And also, like, I just couldn't, I don't know. It, like, having someone tell me anything, I had to figure business out on my own. Like,
Right, 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 right.
watching someone do it, like, seeing their trial and error, you know. It's,
Yeah, no, we learned similarly, and it would have been one hell of a class if I was in the class with you, man. It would have been so much fun.
I don't
Uh,
think, I mean, if it's you and me, I don't think we get any work done at all.
the only thing that was like crazy was like, you know, I grew up in Singapore, and this is in the 80s where they're allowed to hit you really hard in class. And every other day I would get bambooed, like literally like on your hands, on your shoulders. The teacher will walk by and I'll be writing and she'd be like, "You're not writing in the lines." And I'm like, before I can say some shit, like the bamboo will come flying in your knuckles, like bam. And you're like, okay, now I'm in pain and I'm not writing anymore. So how did that help? I don't understand. It was crazy times. But I think when I look back at it, and I'm sure you concur, and sort of the topic for this week is all about like how do we break through no matter what the fuck happens, right? And I give you a
Oh,
cool analogy, but it's like I feel like I became much tougher and more resilient without even realizing what those words were because of all the things that I experienced much early, like 8, 9, 10, 12. So now in my 20s and 30s, I'm hustling, I'm getting no's, whatever. But it's like, cool, who's next? Because you don't even think about that. You know what I mean? So how much of what you were going through as you fast forward into like the next phase and you're in your early years looking like what to do next, how much of that like hustle helped you prep for the other world, which is the corporate world or the business world?
I mean, dude, it's like something somebody told me. There's a couple sayings that people have told me that have really stuck with me. One is never stop. Like always figure out where the next paycheck's coming from.
Yeah.
Because I mean, which is really important as an entrepreneur. You can't be like, well, I got enough money now, you know, and because like you don't know what's going to happen down the line, and like so what was that other one? Someone once told me it was just like, if you're not making money, you're spending it, and like that really stuck with me.
Woo! Say that again one more time, man.
Uh, if you're not making money, you're spending it.
Man,
Yeah.
you know,
And,
it's funny because man, I love these morning talks because I feel like I manifest answers for myself. And I woke
mm,
up this morning thinking exactly the same thing. Like we had an incubator that was ready to go. We had clients that were ready to make money. We spent over a year building those companies to a point where we go to market. And then like Jan, Feb hits, boom, everything goes to quiet. March really wipes us down. And most of the companies that we're supporting went out the door. And so since January, I've been only like paying myself from my earnings and my sale to sort of figure out what to do next. But I woke up this morning and I was like, fuck, it's July and I haven't earned $1 yet, right? And I'm burning, and what went from like, oh, I've got a cushion to I've got a runway now. And there's an end to the runway, but you also don't want to get stressed out thinking about it because what am I gonna do? Freak out and like go back and sell websites? I don't know. But it's like this thought happened in my head this morning when I woke up, and you said it perfectly. Like if you're not making money, you're spending it.
yeah.
Period.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, like if you're just sitting at home, you're spending money on rent, right? Or like if you pay hydro like that, or I mean, it depends on where you are. But yeah, it's like there's. I mean, and that I mean that kind of. I was young when I heard that one, so it kind of like messed with me. And like now, I think I had one ex-girlfriend describe me as a stress addict. So,
oh, okay. That's
oh,
static.
I was
Oh,
like,
that was down too. Oh,
yeah, yeah, stress addict. Like she's like, you don't do anything that won't cause you an immense amount of stress. You're like, oh, can I take that on? I don't really have the time, but I can figure it out. What's sleep? You know?
yeah, yeah. And do you agree with her? Like, is it? Do you see truth in that?
Yeah, yeah, I do. It manifests itself in many, many ways, but yeah, I mean, like, yeah, that's a big part about being an entrepreneur. I think is just you're gonna be stressed out. It's not fun, but it's fun at the same time.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah. So
you have
let's
different. Sorry.
no, I'm saying let's stay on that money for a second because one of the areas that I struggle with is ideas that I like that I
Right.
know I don't see the revenue potential yet, but I know it's going to be making money. But I don't see it immediately. I don't see it, in 3 months. I don't see it around the bend because you kind of have to get far enough to be able to see it, right? But if you
Yeah.
don't get to it because you don't see it, then you miss out on what you think is something you want to get involved in. And if you're like me, you're constantly like looking at the world, going, "Man, how can I like solve something but also make some money?" Take me back to like your years of soul searching because you were working for somebody, doing some accounting work, and you're like, this is not for me. I'm gonna go figure out what to do. That time when you were soul searching, what were you looking for? What questions were you asking? What did you come out of that with?
Like after I was working at an accounting firm.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
right. Oh yeah, because I mean, basically for those that are listening and don't know, it's like I was working in an accounting firm. I quit because I didn't really feel that accounting was for me, and then I did a year of soul searching before I started CFA Group. Um, During the soul, when I call it soul searching, just like to be like I didn't know what was happening next, and I mean, like you were saying, like not everything seems profitable off the hop, but I
Yeah.
think the most important thing to remember is the long game. You know, maybe it's not worth it right now, but you know, and it's like we didn't grow up with a lot of money. Like when I was growing up, we didn't have a lot of money, so it's like it's always a struggle. And I think maybe that's where you know, I think that kind of helped build like some of the character, I guess, like
Right.
in my early years before all this, where it was just like, okay, cool. Well, what are we gonna do, Because I won't get too much into that whole story. So why? But yeah, like during the soul searching thing, it was I don't know. I just tried a bunch of different areas. I was working at bars and nightclubs, and yeah, and then yeah, it was God, it was just so long ago. I'm trying to even remember what happened. Feels like ages ago. Yeah, so I was working at bars, nightclubs, and whatnot, and then I don't know, just really trying to figure out what I wanted to do as a career, and then it happened to be that a bunch of clients from the previous firm had they would approach me in the next tax season, and they're just like, "Hey, I kind of trust you more than I trust your old boss. Can you like still do my taxes?" And then I did like 30 people's taxes that year in my
Right.
first year. So like I was like, yeah, whatever. I could use the extra cash. I was working
Yeah.
4 nights a week at a club downtown Toronto, just bar backing. So I was fine, and I was like, yeah, whatever. I can use some extra cash. And then like like the first 10 people I saw were like, hey, do you mind if I just send you my friends? Like that was cool. And I was like, yeah, sure. And then it just kind of snowballed. And then then I was like, yeah, but then tax season ended, and then I'm still working at a silk screening company. And then at the end of the year, I just got this offer from a friend of mine who owns a record label, and he was like, "Hey, man, I just want to do some corporate stuff." And then I was like, "You know what?" And then I also happened to see a meme come across my page, which was what was it? It was an entrepreneur is someone who jumped off a cliff and built a plane on the way down.
I've seen that
And
one.
I was like, you know what, man? I don't really have a safety net anyway. It's not like I have like rich parents or something where I can fall back. But I was like, I got to take this risk. I need to, like, I was starting to do it a little bit, and I was like, I need to focus on this, and I just got to make it work. That's been my entire life. Is like, it just got to make it work.
Man, we just got to make it work. And I think one of the things that I've been really focused on is what seems like a risk is not really a risk. Meaning, like if I use the same meme analogy, I'm gonna jump off the cliff, knowing I'm gonna build a plane as I'm falling down. I'm gonna make sure, damn sure, all the parts are in my bag. You know what I'm saying? Right? Like, so if you're looking at me jumping off the cliff and building a plane, you're like, holy shit, bro! Like, that's so risky. The risky thing will be the jumping and then figuring out if I want a parachute or a plane. I already know I'm gonna build a plane. I already know how far it is to get down, how much time I need to build that plane, and do I have all the parts? I just gotta jump off the cliff first, right? And this whole week's theme is about like finding the confidence or a formula or something to be able to do that. And you gave me the perfect analogy. And so, let me give you a different idea. I was reading this book. Actually, I have it. It's called The Third Door. I don't know if you read it. It's totally dull. I'm only on like the first chapter, but he explains like there's 3 types of people. And funny enough, he uses a nightclub as an analogy. It's like there's people that show up and they'll wait in line for an hour to get in. And even if the guy's like, yo, it's going to be a 30-minute wait, they'll still wait. They'll just wait. And then they might not get in at the end of the night, but they'll just wait in line. We all know those people. And then there's, people that show up and they're like, I'm on the VIP list. I don't wait in line. I'm only on the VIP list. And then there's dudes, and I've been that guy where you're like, how do I get in? I'm not on the VIP list. I'm not in. I know. I'm going to try to get to the back door. I'm going to try to meet the security guard. I'm going to find an alley where there's an entrance into the kitchen. And he's like, most of us stop at the first 2. I'm in line and I'm not getting in, or I'm a VIP. There's a real, character that never stops and finds a way to get into the building. And I feel like I'm that third guy. I'm going to try to get into the building no matter what it takes. I'm going to find a hole, a window. I'm going to find somebody I can give them a $10 to get in. Like, that's my mindset. But I feel like a lot of us are not like that.
Yeah. No, I get that.
Especially Nick, who's watching Universal Misting. My dude ran one of the nicest clubs, and he knows it's me. And he always tell me, bro, if it's 11 p.m. or later, I can't help you. And I would go wait in line at 11:05 with my girl, and he won't let me in. I know you, Nick. I know you're watching right now. Scarred me. That's why I'm writing this book.
It's so funny that that's one of the clubs I worked at was called Door 3. So it's funny that there's the third door and it's about nightclubs.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. No, I get that, man. And like, but yeah, you and I will always find like a way in. Like, I mean, even like legitimately with like, um, all these like bars and stuff out there. I've always kind of made friends with the security guards, but it's like it's just, which is like there's a legitimate fact. It's just something I
Yeah.
did,
Well,
but
but it's funny because when I think about that example, like, so much of that came from treating people right. Like
yeah,
saying what's up to the security dude or saying hi to the bar people and not treating them like shit. And similar to what I hear from you, like whatever you did in that job to help a bunch of people left an impression where they reached out to you in your soul searching year and go, hey dude, I got some work. I don't know if you can handle it, but I kind of dug how you did it. And then that turned into a business, that turned into relationships. And so many of us take those chance moments to impact people
yeah,
very.
yeah. I mean, and like doing that, it's like you kind of learn how those businesses operate. Like for me specifically, it kind of helped out because now I'm on this level where I can relate to people. Like I mean, along with and like the music industry and the bar industry are very very tight. Obviously, because you got to play music at a bar before you
Right.
get anywhere, right? Or well, not these days, but
Yeah. Oh, it's
um,
so true.
yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, and it's like but even just like the people are very similar and I also deal with a lot of people within the service industry and hospitality industry um, as well, so it's like it's expanded from its initial like CIFA Group, my company has expanded from its initial doing taxes for like entertainment, and then now we're at you know so many different industries, and a lot of that has to do with me having been a part of these different industries.
Right, right.
um, yeah.
So, so break down something for me. So, I run businesses and I've been lucky enough to have some really good mentors. Um, in your early years, or even now as you're building your company, what are some of like the insider, hustle stories that people don't hear from the outside? Like, how hard is it to really get a client? How hard is it to really like make the money? How hard do you, are you clocking in 20-hour days? Is that a myth where you can have a healthy, 9 to 5 gig and be on your own and have balance? You have to be obsessed about the shit or you can't make it. Like, tell the people from the other side. Because sometimes when I talk about like my hustle, people are like, man, you're an anomaly, bro. Like nobody is that obsessed and puts in that amount of hours. I'm like, yeah, I gotta introduce you to some people, man. Like, so on the other side, for somebody listening or watching that's like, I want to get into entrepreneurship. I have my own idea. Tell them the real goods, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I get that, man. Yeah, it's like I think. I mean, what people don't understand is like I'm doing most of the work myself. I'm a very like I need to be. And this business is your baby, right? Like you don't, and it's really hard to have babysitters. You're like, oh, I'm kind of giving it up, letting someone else handle it. Um, and if as you hire staff, you're gonna find a lot of people don't care. They just get like a
Yeah.
paycheck. My staff currently is well the ones I had before had to lay people off before COVID. They're amazing. Um, really helped me out, and it's like I think one of the big struggles that people don't see as an entrepreneur, someone building, it's like, yeah, I'm starting to make more money and I'm getting more successful, but it's also like as you start making more money, there's more money that you need to spend.
Right.
Like
Boom.
yeah, it's unfortunately it's true. Like I mean, it's like taxes are higher up, and as you get higher through the tax brackets, and like I mean, obviously, there's ways to, not totally get around it, but that's what accountants are for.
Listen, I'm gonna edit everything you just said the last 15 seconds. Okay, CRA is not gonna see that shit. I'm
Yeah,
gonna edit the last 15 seconds.
they audit me.
Yeah. Like, we saw you on an Instagram story. What are you doing?
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's like I mean, for example, like I had to. There's like some paperwork I need to get done, and then I need to get a lawyer. It's like, well, there's $5,000 gone. It's like, and you're just like, okay. And the weird part when it's a lawyer, it's like you give them a big chunk, and then you're like, am I using up all that money? Like you're just, and it's like, yeah, I don't know. That was a big surprise for me. Is I'm like, how much more money I'm spending. Even like I'm trying to save money, and I'm
Yeah.
like, well, I got to do this now.
Yeah, it's
Um,
man, like when I was running my consulting company and we had to get our first lawyer, I didn't understand the concept. I was like 22. I didn't understand the concept of a retainer. I'm like, wait a second. You just wanted me to move a whole bunch of my money into your bank account and then you can slowly use it, but my money's got to leave my bank account and just sit in your account because it's yours, but you're not going to use it. You might give it back to me, but why would you? You have it. Like I was like, why can't you just bill me for the hours? Like, no, retainer only. This is how the industry works. And I'm like 22, right? Like, it
yeah,
makes
yeah.
sense to me. I'm just going to give you some money and then hope you use it.
Well, I mean, that's the one thing, man. It's like not everybody's like willing to give you money. Like
It's
even
crazy.
like I've lost friendships over doing this. Yeah, that's another big thing. It's like the emotional toll just takes.
Mm. Talk about that, man. I was lucky enough to find a girl that like got it, and then 25 years later, she's
Oh
still
man,
here, ride or
I still
die.
have
But
one.
man, there's many years in that up and down where I'm like, this is the year she's gonna leave me for sure. Like barely spending any time. I'm not home, but I can't be home. I can't, and God bless.
Oh
But
man, you gotta find someone like a partner that understands your schedule, right? And it's just like you gotta understand that I'm free all the time, but I'm also free none of the time. So it's like if
say that one more time. Say that one more time. I need to cut that clip out and send it to a bunch of my homies, man.
it's like I'm free. I'm free all the time, but I'm also free none of the time.
Yeah.
That some of the time, I don't remember how I said it, but yeah,
Nah, beautiful, man. I mean, that's the reality. Like, I tell people all the time when I get to speak, it's not just my opinion, and I've got a bunch of stuff, entrepreneurs that can back me up. When you start your own company, if you whatever the business is, I don't care if you're building homes or you're doing website consulting, or in your case, like helping others figure out their finance, you have to have a little bit of that obsessive nuttiness. Like it doesn't stop. Obsession is so important because there's so many moving pieces that you can't monitor, manage, or control in 8 hours. If you're like, no, I'm gonna get up at 9, go to work, come home at 5, and then have dinner and watch Netflix and go home and do it again, good luck to you, man. I don't know anybody who's done it like that.
yeah. Well, I mean, like I try to maintain like the 9 hour workday or whatever, and but I maintain office hours, but that's like when people can get a hold of me. So it's like and then that gives me that leeway at night if I need to go see some friends or whatever. But it's like I'm still answering emails into the night. Sometimes you do need to give yourself breaks, which nobody told me, and I was like I mean, especially this year, where it got to a point where my company had grown to a certain point where I needed to have staff to help me handle like the day to day stuff, and then so I could keep working, and then the now my company didn't stop growing, but now I'm handling it all on my own, right?
Right.
And so it was like just this weight on my shoulders. I'm doing the admin stuff. I'm doing I'm trying to keep track of all the money going in and out, and then also doing all of the work. And I was like,
Yeah,
I burned out a little bit. There was like one time where I was like, I need to take like a couple days,
yeah.
but
No, I get that.
but that's where the obsessive thing comes in, man. It's like I
Yeah,
was obsessed with getting every single thing and like growing this company and keeping it going through COVID. You know,
yeah.
um,
But
yeah,
I think one of the things that's magical, and as I matured, I kind of learned a little more. Uh, I'm operating, not working. I'm operating 24 hours a day. But instead of the traditional formula, which is, work during the day and then at night you got family and friends and da da da, I started to shift my circle where, like, if I want to go catch a movie in the afternoon with a bunch of friends, how can I build a network that allows me to do that? Because if all my friends are 9 to 5ers, then they're only available from 6 to 9 or weekends. But how do I build a different circle that fed into like my style? So now I'm like, yeah, if I need to disappear for a week and do a boy strip, I know who to call that can take a week off and still work from the plane to the hotel to the beach, and we're not losing a beat, and then we're back. But I needed to rethink my ecosystem to fit my obsession.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And that's the beauty of like today's world where we're operating so remotely that I mean, especially with COVID, you know,
Yeah,
it's really showing people how easily we can do remote. I haven't seen like a client since March, you know,
yeah,
but yeah, and it's kind of crazy. I mean, like that's the advantage of being an entrepreneur in this day and age. As long as you don't have like I have some friend, my buddy Jeremy. He's like a massage therapist, and like he's like the guy right now. So he's just like I was like, it sucks that you can't do this remotely, right?
right.
I'm sure there'll be something one day where it's just like some hands reaching through a screen.
I
Yeah,
think it's already there, just not in the right industries. You know, there's other industries where they already do that shit. Yeah.
yeah.
There's a lot of happening in that porn industry, bro. They figured out live streaming before anybody else did. They figured out video quality before anybody else did. You know, that's the pioneers, man.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, I deal with a lot of people in the adult industry now, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I think when we first met was when my ad came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that ad? Because I love that hustle, man. It's like the moment where I was like, yo, Spencer's my dude is when we talked about that ad because like that's the third door. That's the let's figure this shit out, you know?
Well, yeah, and like, okay, so like, let's put it this way. What I've always found is like, especially with accounting firms, it's like everyone does something the same way. Like, I find a lot of accountants think like accountants, and they don't think anyone else should think any differently. So, like, you'll have whatever some neighborhood tax firm, right, where it's just like, this is the taxes sell themselves because literally everyone needs to do them.
Right.
So we just put taxes in really bad pastel colors that are going to get worn by the sun on the window, and hopefully people will come in, you know. And it's just like, I mean, sure, there's definitely a ton of people who do it by location, but I had to go. Why are people going to come to me? People come to me because of like I just do things differently. So I go, what would someone do? Like what would H&R Block not do? You know?
Yeah.
And it's like, but I don't care. So in a way, like, you know, it's like I care obviously like about my clients and all that and maintaining something, but it's like my outward image is I'm a younger guy. I know this generation, and it's just like I know certain things. Like when I did that advertisement on Pornhub, for people.
That's right. Everybody who just heard it, he did just say he advertised his accounting firm on Pornhub. Let's take a minute. Take a minute, and then let's continue.
Take it in. Yeah, so I did some advertising on Pornhub, and I was just like, H&R Block wouldn't do that because they'd be like, well, you know, we don't want to convey that image. And to me, I was like, but the people are already on the website.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
you're not taking them there.
There's no other way to know about it. You know, I had people calling me being like, hey, so I saw your advertisement on some website. I was like, yeah, I know which one that was.
I wish I was listening on the early client calls, man. Hey, dude, I saw you on my website.
Yeah. I can't remember which one it was. I'm like, yeah, I know.
What did the copy say? What did you say on the ad?
On the ad? Oh, it was actually my receptionist. Yeah, so it said, "Don't get fucked by taxes," and and it was my friend just holding a dildo. That was the picture. So I should post that again.
Dude, if that's not hustle, if that's not outthinking competition, I don't know what it is, man. It's crazy. That's
and I mean, sorry, go ahead.
That's one hell of a story. I love that story.
Yeah. I do too. Yeah, and like, I mean, even as far as I've recently come up with some merch, you know, I've been giving it to my friends and whatnot. Like, I thought back to like, you know, remember Jump Rope for Heart in school?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's like H&R Block will sponsor that, or like some marathon. It'll be like a little tiny green square on like the left breast or something. And I was like, no, no, no.
Yeah.
I'm a band guy, you know. I need to make like full on band shirts. And yeah, I mean, as a you know, self promotion, I'm actually wearing it right now. But yeah, it's just
Yeah.
yeah, it's like just huge. It was
Yeah.
like, no, no, no. You're gonna look. This is gonna be merch.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's awesome, man. Tell me about your entertainment business. Actually, before you go into the entertainment business, one of the things when I talk to people about, and I struggle with it too, and I'm trying to also now restart my own sales engine because I'm like, man, I've got a couple of startups that are burning money, but my plan for revenue didn't happen. So then I'm burning money faster, and my runway is getting smaller. But thinking about sales again, which I haven't done in over a year, right, since starting my company, so much of it is driven by like ego and emotion. Um, how do you break through that? How do you kill that ego? How do you get on that call, that email, and tell a bunch of people to hire you? Give the folks some tips, and I needed to like restart my engine.
Right. Oh my God. Like, how do I get through challenges and all that?
Yeah, how do you reach out to people
Well,
like?
my ego's huge, so it's fine. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just shameless self promoter. But let's. I it's a difficult one, man. Well, most of my business happens to be referrals. You know, I it's the emotionally draining part is like being on all the time. You know, it's like
Mm,
you don't want to treat anyone differently. When they come to you, they're coming for the hey, what's up, man? You know, like which has its own challenges associated with that. But yeah, it's like
you
it's
got to be on. You
dude,
got to be on.
it's the cult, the grind for a reason, man. It's like
Yeah.
you just gotta push through. I don't. Yeah, for me personally, it's like if this doesn't work, I am nothing. There's nowhere for me to land. There's no safety net. There's nothing. Which for me that really helps. But like it's not like I can rely on my parents or anything like that.
Right. Right.
So like I mean I pay for like my mom a lot. You know, it's like
Yeah.
that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So um,
Yeah, this is the
yeah,
idea of like plan A, plan B, right? Like I talked to some young folks and they're like, well, I have my plan A. If it doesn't work, I go to plan B. And then I'm like, well, what if you don't have a plan B? How awesome will your plan A be? I don't
yeah.
know. I just,
I have plan A. That's it. It's like right now,
yeah,
I mean, I've always there's other things that'll cross my mind, like, oh, what if I just gave this up and did something else? But it's like I think it's all trial and error, man. Like and you have to accept um, the rejection, which sucks, and you're not going to make everyone happy. Which I'm a very like big time people pleaser, so
mm,
it really really sucks. So sometimes like yeah, what so actually there's I think it was Gary Vee who was talking about it, but it was like I don't know. One thing that's always kind of stuck with me is you don't need to be number one,
mm.
and I think that's something I have to keep playing in my head personally.
That's an
It's
interesting
like,
thing. You don't need to be number one. What a conscious decision to stay in the game but not burn out.
well, yeah, like think about a race, like a 100-meter dash or something, uh, if if you go to the Olympics and you come in seventh, you're still the seventh fastest person in the world, which is crazy, Like, yeah, obviously everyone wants to get that gold medal. That would be nice, but where do you go from? Like, where do you go from there?
Right.
It's like you can only go down. So if you're at number 12, you're kind of like in, you're kind of hidden. Not too many people are paying attention to you, and number 12 is doing okay. You're surviving.
Right.
You might even be successful, but you're number 12.
Mm,
You're not the most forward facing, but um, yeah. I mean, and that goes back. I think it's mostly from one of my producer buddies. He does like this dude has like Grammys and stuff, and people have no idea what his name is,
wow.
and uh, he's just basically always been on this tip about I don't want people to know my name because then I can do whatever I want.
Mm,
It's like he makes a ton of money. But he'll sometimes go by like women's names and like just use a different name on different records. This guy worked on like Michael Jackson's posthumous record with Justin
woo.
Timberlake, and he just like I just don't want people to know my name. because he doesn't need to be the best, you
Right.
know?
And it gives them
So,
a sense of invisibility. Like if I could have any superpower, mine would be like invisibility, right?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
I'm there, but I'm not there, and I get to have impact when nobody has to know it's me. It's really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, but it's like one of those things, man. It's like you can still be successful and not be famous. Think
Right.
about all the like the millionaires out there that we have no idea what their name is. You only know
Yeah.
like there's like 45 billionaires in Canada, so it's like we only know them, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know who most of them are, you know.
Yeah. No. 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 It's crazy. So two last questions. I've taken up a lot of your time, and I
Oh
know
yeah,
both of us
no
need a
worries, man.
coffee refill. One from a professional perspective, folks that are just starting to earn some money, or folks that are in the creative industry where they live between paychecks and tips and things like that. Uh, Give us like two or three smart ways to manage your money, like things that is a no brainer that you should just start doing to start thinking about money differently.
Oh my God. I mean, RSPs are real easy because you're just essentially putting money away to be used at a later date. I've recently been looking a little bit more into Bitcoin.
Mm.
So, I don't know if that's like, I mean, it's probably a little bit volatile for people who aren't making, a ton of cash with like, they don't have, like disposable cash. But honestly, like, so what helped me save money the most is coming up with a system where it's like I'm not. Like, I find like a budget, and um, the only thing I've gotten to a point where I'm only thinking about my business. So like I eat the same. It sounds weird, but I eat the same meal every single day. Like it's structured every 2.5 hours. I eat the same thing. It's also part of a much larger routine, but um, I find as if you can like get yourself on that kind of consistency, not worry too much about the variety that you're getting. Like you can still make stuff taste good. That's what spices are for, right? But that one really helped me. Is like getting my groceries in line, and then like not spending too much there. Just go to Freshco, and then like what I do is a handful of broccoli and 3 chicken thighs. Every meal except for breakfast or whatever. So I think just accepting that you're not there yet is kind
Right.
of a big thing. Big
That's
thing.
a great
And
way to say it. Yeah.
yeah, and like just be prepared for disappointment. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, unfortunately, it's like you're just not gonna make everybody happy, and that's like people can say that, but it's like, and you're like, yeah, you're not gonna make everybody happy, and then, but I still like, I feel like shit when somebody is like, when when I don't feel like I've done as much as I could for somebody,
Right, right, right. No, that's amazing, man. So let's end with some routines, okay? Because I believe uh, people that have routines, no matter how crazy the routines are, builds that structure that gives you more time actually than just sort of waking up going, what do I do today, right? And some of the habits that I've developed over the last 10 years that really help me focus every day, like my first 20 minutes, I listen to something inspirational. I have to because my brain is like just waking up and is ready for programming. So from like Gary Vee to Les Brown to poetry to whatever, like I feed my brain something that's huge and ginormous and big ideas to like just open it up so that you're not feeding it like social media first thing in the morning, right? So I get up early. If I'm doing this 9 o'clock every day, I'm up at like 7, feeding
Yeah.
my brain. I try to squeeze in at least an hour workout every single day, and I have to read before I go to bed. And when I hit my low points, I know what playlist I'm gonna go to. When I need a boost of energy, I know what I'm gonna go to. What are some of the life hacks that you might have invented to like either pick you up when you're low or like get you over the top and need that extra energy, 3 a.m., 30 more accounts to review?
Oh my god. Water and being I don't know. Water's like a big one. Honestly, it's like even taking like an hour and a half, just to work out or something. Take that break so your brain relaxes for a minute. Uh, yeah, I mean, don't yeah, it's just like, oh, there's so much. It's just like there's so many little things I do that I don't even think I realize that it's just like, building. It's all about finding what works for you, right?
Right.
If you're like, oh, I'm consistently tired, then like, okay, something's got to change. Maybe it's your diet, maybe it's like, maybe you need to work out like an hour, just do like, 60 push-ups or something. I don't know. What's really helped me too is like, especially because I work on a computer all the time, is blue light glasses.
Right.
Like it helps me like,
Yeah, I'm thinking about getting them. Is it help?
oh, huge. Like, dude, you can buy like $20 ones on Amazon. So,
Yeah.
which I've done, which is amazing. Or you can go get like actual ones from the store. But yeah, dude, it's made such a big difference in my life because I think it's like I was reading something where it's like when you're looking at a screen, your brain confuses it as sunlight. You're not getting vitamin D. Oh, that's a huge one. Like, take vitamins. It's like so that because like I'm inside all day. I'm lucky enough to have you know an apartment on the main floor with big windows and stuff. Which if you're
Right.
not making as much money, maybe you're going for a basement. But like
Yeah.
as long as you're taking vitamins, make sure you get sunlight, that kind of stuff. And as much as I think taking a break is huge. Especially, I mean, I it's, I'm 31. It's only recently occurred to me that I'm not in my early 20s anymore. So,
Yeah, I'm 29 forever, baby. I'm 29 forever.
yeah, sometimes I'm like, oh, I could do this, but like, you cannot go out and like just drink every night.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? And that's a big one too. Is like if you like, I've recently taken a lot of alcohol out of my system. Right, I don't really drink anymore. I don't smoke. Nothing like that. So, and that I found has really helped me too. So,
Yeah. And COVID did that to me, man, because once I got stuck at home and then my initial like pre-March supply of wine and alcohol ran out and beer, I'm like, I'm not going to a store to buy shit. And then I just haven't really had anything to drink at home and I didn't want to go buy stuff. And then just over the last 90 days, just my consumption going so low, I've sort of lost interest, And
yeah,
now it's like on the weekend we went grocery shopping and my wife was like, "Hey, it looks like there's not a big lineup by the LCBO. If you want to go grab some drinks, I can wait in the car." I'm like, "Nah, it's cool. Like,
yeah,
go home." You know, it's crazy how like 90 days changes everything. Well, before that, like I'll have a drink at the office. I come home and have a drink. It's crazy, man.
yeah, absolutely, man. And it's just like, dude, like, I mean, you can change your habits so easily. Like, I was not eating well at all before, like up until about like a year ago. And then I was just like, you know what, I got to change this. And then that's when I started that like grocery thing I was talking about.
Yeah,
And I was like, oh, I should have been doing this for years. Like, my mind is off of what I'm buying. And like, it's initially you're like, oh man, I'm not going to have any variety, in what I'm buying. And it's like, this is gonna suck. But now it's just like I'm in such a routine. I'm thriving off it. But not everyone thrives off a routine, right? So
yeah.
you
No,
know,
I think sometimes we fake it. We all have routines. We just don't want to call it a routine. I mean, there's certain things that when you remove the variety, it streamlines into like more time. And this is where I look at like I'm now really even coming down to my wardrobe. I used to laugh and people used to be like, "Oh, Steve Jobs always wore the same thing every single day, or whatever." I'm like, "What? So boring, man. I got my fancy bow ties and suits and whatever." But man, morning fatigue, like I guard that brain now between like when I wake up and for the first couple of hours, I'm like, I'm not gonna stress my brain out because I need that thing to be optimal for the next like 6, 7 hours. And I'm not gonna feed it social media. I'm not gonna fatigue it about what tie I wanna wear. Like, I went out and even like made my own socks so that I only have one design and I wear it every single day because I don't want to choose what color socks to wear. Like people don't take that serious enough how fast your brain gets fatigued and all the things that it's not doing for you when it's tired.
yeah, absolutely, man. Like I like my you know, like I used to just wear like suits and stuff, but when I started this firm, like I just I started dressing way down. Like it makes everyone else that comes in like way more comfortable.
Yeah,
First off, and then I'm comfortable, and they're like, it's like you're not coming in like some guy who's in a suit, like I make more money than you or something, which I definitely probably don't. Uh,
yeah.
at
But
the
you're
end of the
like, yo,
day,
I don't care what suit you're wearing. You saw me on Pornhub. I know where you found me. So let's get. Listen, tell me quickly about the entertainment company because I've just started my own entertainment company. I need to learn from people that are in the business. When Stacy Fest got canceled and we started doing more artist programming, people started reaching out saying, "Hey, I need some PR support or marketing support, or I don't know how to get fans, or you know, I just don't know what to do in the music business." And I was like, "No, I'm not an agent. I'm not a record label. I'm not." And then I was like, "Well, what if we had a hybrid business? What if we had something where, kind of like a consulting company, I'm a one stop. You know, if you are stuck with contracts, I know somebody. If you don't know how to do marketing and branding and how to identify your right customer, I've done that for such big brands that I can help your sound. And why can't musicians say, I'm an entrepreneur and my product is music? Then we have room to pivot. We have business rules that we can implement in your business right away versus I'm a musician or an artist and I don't know what I'm doing. So we have this whole community that I'm building. It's a subscription model. It's $5, but you get access to me and my network. We just launched 2 weeks ago. We have 30 people signed up, and every single day, like I'm on there talking to my community around from copyright issues to finances. And I want to get you on board as a coach because all of them need finance support and what you do for them. But
And I'd be happy to do that, man. Because like, I mean, one of the things that people I don't think realize is claiming. You know, people are like, oh, I'm not making a lot of money off music. I'm like, well, A, the CRA wants to claim any money you're making, but B, it's going to be a huge help. Like when it comes to tax season, like because you're writing off your instruments, and now you're not spending that money and then just goes into the ether, right? You're actually using that money you spent to your advantage. Because for example, for most people that are just starting out as a musician, you know, maybe you're not, yeah, you know, maybe you're not making a bunch of money, but you definitely have another job because you need to make money somehow, right? Maybe you're working at a bar. It doesn't matter, you know, a bar or like Best Buy. So you have your T4 that you get at the end of the year, and then you have taxes taken off that. Now, if you're making your line 14 is what's called, but I mean, nobody cares about that. So the amount you actually made is what you're getting taxed on. Now, when you claim, you know, the money you made from music, you know, whatever shows, whatever sales you made from your records or whatever, it's going to go up here. But then you're actually going to subtract all your expenses, like, you know,
gigs, all that stuff.
Yeah, getting to and from gigs, all that, you know. So that's going to bring your taxable income all the way down here, and now it's lower, and all that money you paid into taxes on your T4 is now too much money. So you're going to actually get a lot of that back.
Refund time, boom.
Yeah, and like you already spent the money, so why not use it to your advantage? So
and if you're watching this, if people are watching this, remember the refund is to reinvest, not for bottle service. I just want to be real close when I tell you. I've seen so many artists that work their asses off and they're like, bro, I got $1,000 of refund. I'm hitting the club. And I'm like, that's 2 bottles and you're fucked. Don't do it. Put that money in your RRSP.
Yeah. Something like that. Reinvest it, you know. But I mean, like keep a little bit, whatever, like live life. But you know, it's yeah, I mean, that's like such a big thing. It's like, you know, if you put all that stuff in your taxes, and then you know what? I found a lot of people that do that. They're like, oh, I feel like this is a real business, and now I see how much money I'm actually spending. Like, now I can do stuff to be like, okay, well, how do I get this past this? Maintain, you know, and like it helps you grow on the business side of being an artist, which will also in turn help you when you go to negotiate contracts. And you're like, okay, well, how is this going to benefit me? Like, how is this going to look when I report to the government? Because you know what? The government doesn't care what your job is. They want to know what kind of money you're making.
Yeah, 100%. Listen, I'd love to have you join Applause as a coach. There's so many amazing artists that need to hear this kind of stuff. And similarly, I'm on the same mission that you're on the customer side to go, hey, your audience might not be in Canada. They might be a really cool tribe of folks that love your music in Japan or in Africa. And if you think about it as a business owner, it's funny, I had a conversation with somebody yesterday who's working on like launching some new music, right? And I was like, look, who wants your music? Why do you want somebody wanting your music? And he's like, very, you know, I don't know, like, you know, it's music. And I was like, think about it. If you didn't know me and I just walked off the street to you and I go, hey, Spence, starting tomorrow, I got a brand new company. I'm selling a black pen. And you can be like, Saxby, who the fuck needs a black pen now? There's so many pens out there. Why,
Mm.
you don't need a business degree to have that conversation with me, right? But I'll tell you, this is a different type of pen. It's got gold tip, blah 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 blah. And then you're like, oh, I get it. So then, if you're in the business of music, it's the same idea. You're not just another hip hop artist or R&B artist or soul singer. You are a amazing artist that can find a fan that wants to buy your pen, and that's sort of what we're trying to do with this business.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. And like I've been telling people that for years, especially in like a city like Toronto, where it's just like,
Yeah.
you know what, people here are just like, a lot of the time, it's like you're not like the people that come downtown and whatnot. Not a lot of the time they're not even from Toronto, and so it's like, um, it's like this is such a small city on. Well, I mean, as an actual city, it's like on the world scale, it's actually pretty big, I think. But it's like the whole country is 4 mil. What is it? 40 million people. Like,
Yeah.
Poland's got that many people. So the States has 10 times that much, which is why it's like sometimes it's a little bit easier to make in the States because there's so many people that it's very easy to find those niche markets. So like you could
100%
like
understand.
LA has 40 million people, right? And
Yeah,
so
no.
LA County, but yeah. Uh, so it's like,
Big-
but yeah, finding like an audience is difficult. I mean, like me personally, I have a digital distribution label, and so which helps like my friends. I've helped them get all across the world. And like it looked, you're signed. I take 10%, and
yeah.
you're up on all these streaming platforms. And the aggregator I use, they help get on Spotify and like some killer
Yeah.
playlists. And
It's
I
a
mean, I think,
I
sorry.
usually cut this off in 10 seconds, 14 seconds. So I don't want to cut your feed, but I'm going to put all your details onto my Instagram. Thank you for signing on with me today. I love you for it.
Dude, of course. Sounds good. So good to talk to you, man. Thank you so much for this.